I'm not finished with you! I'm not finished with you! I'm not finished with you!
Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 31 of Season 2 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Taco Bell 200 here at Yas Marina Circuit here in Abu Dhabi, as we're getting set for 11 laps of racing, no cautions, here at this big road course that takes well over 2 minutes to get around. But before we look at the lineup, let's look at how the point standings are coming into the race tonight. So, after last week at Talladega, Chris Michaels' points lead continues to dwindle down. He only leads by 18 points over Nelson Thornhill and 19 points over David Rivera. Then it's 85 for Dorian Facepuncher and 114 for Rafael LeDuc. So that is the top 5. Rest of the top 10, 6th is Nathaniel Reed, 7th Joshua Sekuli, 8th Seth Cole, 9th is Austin LaPlante, and then 10th Emmanuel Hartnett. Rest of the top 20 is DJ Curtis, Dylan Thoreau, Grayson Acevedo, Jesse King, Kev Shearer, Mark Lane, JT Bryant, Trent Dunham, Matt Haas, and Charles Sanford. So that is how the top 20 in the standings are going into the race tonight. But let's look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row, we have Carson Gum and Chris Michaels. Chris Michaels really struggled in qualifying, so he's have to put the pedal to the metal in order to get a decent finish. Top 10 in the lineup, Dorian Facepuncher is on the pole for tonight. Heck, I believe, yes, this is his first pole this season. Starting next to him is Rafael LeDuc. Row 2 is PJ Williams and Trent Dunham. Row 3 is two Dylans, Dylan Poteet and Dylan Young. Row 4, DJ Curtis and Oscar Anderson. And then row 5, Jesse King and Seth Cole. So with that said, let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Taco Bell 200 at Yas Marina Circuit here in Abu Dhabi.
Drivers, start your engines!
Excuse me, and there you have it. So they're only going to do a half a pace lap here at this gigantic track. So we shall see what happens in this race. Now, the front row of Facepuncher and LeDuc is quite interesting because those are two guys who are desperate to get good finishes for the rest of the season to find themselves back in the hunt for the championship. After all, LeDuc is 114 points back, and Dorian Facepuncher is 85 points back. So this is going to be an interesting race, to say the very least. So I do feel like with this track, in seasons in the past of Walmart Cup, typically whoever is on the pole at this racetrack gets the biggest advantage of keeping the lead. But you never know, since this season the road course races have been a lot more competitive. We shall see how this one is going to turn out. And also, this is one of the best looking road courses on the schedule, along with Sawmill and Old Spice. And speaking of Sawmill, we will be back at that racetrack in the race before the finale, as they're getting ready to come through off the final corner to get this race underway. And I don't know what's up with these guys going 3 wide on this restart, but boogity, 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 let's go racing! Well, that concludes lap number 1, and what an interesting first few turns we had. We saw 6 wide passing for plenty of positions, and I have no idea how they did not wreck doing that. And as a result, Dorian Facepuncher lost spots, and Rafael Leduc has taken the lead over here at Yas Marina Circuit. Now Poteet was close to Leduc, and then once the guys get up at the front, there's somehow no stopping them unless pit strategy comes in, because that's going to be a big factor later in the race, is pit stops under green flag conditions, since no cautions are going to be out for this race. As meanwhile, battle for 5th, PJ Williams trying to clear Dorian Facepuncher. The Facepuncher's trying to fight back after losing the lead pretty much in turn 1. After, I'm not sure why NNSCRA officials did not black flag some of those guys who went 3 to 4 wide on that start when they shouldn't have yet. But who knows. As now Facepuncher falls back to the 6th position. And now he's got Cole Deaver arriving on his back bumper, so we could have an interesting fight for the 6th position between these two momentarily. And whoa, big crossover move for the 92. Oh, he nearly turned to 62 right there. But back up at the front, Rafael Leduc trying to pull away. Last time by across the line, he had a 1.5 second lead, so it'll be curious to see how far back Poteet is now. And there's actually some damage to the front end of Carson Gum. It looks like he may have run into the back of Benjamin Miles in a corner where they got really close together. That's my best assumption as to what possibly happened. But at the line, Leduc leads by 2.3 seconds over Dylan Poteet. And Leduc is actually trying to go for win number 3 this season and hopes to try and catch up to the points lead to get himself back in the hunt for the championship. Same thing with Dorian Facepuncher, even though he's 7th right now. If he can maintain where he is right now, he could gain plenty of points to get closer to the points lead again. Meanwhile, 2 Red Bull Racing teammates are fighting it out for the 8th position. Anthony McCrory has it, but his teammate and rookie Oscar Anderson is trying to get up to him to try and take the spot. But let's see where the other top 5 guys in points are at. So let's start with 2nd place in points, Nelson Thornhill. Last scored 14th, although you see a tad buckle on his hood, so he must have run into the back of somebody just barely. But luckily with road courses, it's not so much about speed, it's more about precision. So that's a good indication for Thornhill that he's not off the pace. Now David Rivera last scored in 23rd. And now where is the points leader, Chris Michaels, at? Last scored 37th on track. So Chris Michaels not having a very good run going right now, and potentially could even lose the points lead after tonight, since Thornhill is only 18 behind coming into the race today, or tonight. And Thornhill is actually was up in 14th, and Michaels is in 37th, so if the race were to end right now, Thornhill would take the points lead over and lead by, I believe, I want to say like 23 points, something along those lines. But aside from that, Rafael Leduc continuing to pull away from Dylan Poteet, but that time, not by much. And actually, Carson Gum looks like he went to pit road to get that hood off of the car so he can see out of his windshield a lot better, because he did have quite a big buckle on his hood from running into the back of what looks like Benjamin Miles, because he's got huge dent on the rear end of the car, so you can definitely tell it was between Miles and Gum that caused all this. Looking around the field to see how everything is going, as I'm trying to find what the closest battle is right now, and this looks like one. This looks like a fight for the 15th position between Phil Parker in the 4 and Emmanuel Hartnett in the 20. Hartnett comes into this race 10th in points. He's looking to try to finish the season strong by getting a couple good runs and stay top 10 in the points, because he's had a pretty solid season, though he's been one of those quiet drivers that we haven't really talked too much about. But he's been quietly top 10 pretty much a majority of the season. Heck, at one point in like the first half, he was mostly in between 4th and 7th in points. So he's had a pretty solid season, and he'll be back in that 20 car next season. So maybe next season will be the breakout for Emmanuel Hartnett. DJ Curtis, who's coming into this race outside the top 10. Right now, he probably would get in since he was only 2 points excuse me, behind Emmanuel Hartnett coming into the race, and right now he scored in 13th. So he's got a solid run going. Meanwhile, Nelson Thornhill actually has moved up a couple spots up to 12th on track. So he's looking to try extend a potential new points lead that he may have going into next week. Let's take a look and see back where Rivera is running. Well, he's moving up the field a little bit, up to, well, he was up to 20th, now he's 21st. Chris Michaels still in 37th, although let's see at the line, according to the scoring, where he is now. 35th, he's actually moved up a couple spots. And he may try and pick up a couple more spots. Ahead of him is Paul Minnick and Mark Lane are fighting for position. Excuse me, as JT Bryant is on pit road, no damage. I think he's pitting under green to get some strategy in, unless he may have a mechanical problem, because he's the only one that's on pit road right now. Maybe it is strategy. So JT Bryant was the first one to come in the pit road under green that wasn't damaged. So that could be a sign that everybody has to pit very, very soon. And wow, LeDuc actually took that turn really, really wide and kind of drifted a little bit, but he saved it. Meanwhile, Poteet's still in second, as Trent Dunham actually has moved up to third. Where's Jesse King? Oh, there he is. He was third. I guess he's lost a couple spots since last time we checked up on him. Here's an interesting battle going on for, looks like, the 22nd spot. Jonathan Zorling and Matt Haas. And whoa, look at that run that James Qualls had. But now he's going to end up losing that. But man, what a run he ended up picking up for a moment. And now he's got Matt McIntyre right beside him. So they're fighting for 24th on track, I believe. So a couple of mid-pack fights going on right now. That's pretty interesting. And oh, pit stops. Looks like everyone's on pit road all at once. Let's see if anybody's staying out. To which I don't think I saw anybody attempt to stay out. I think they're all pitting at the same time. This is really, really interesting. And then look at this close fight. This is very, very close. And we can't even see, although I heard some scraping. Oh, Poteet actually beat LeDuc out of pit road, I guess because of some contact. But that just shook up the race. Poteet takes the lead over from Rafael LeDuc on pit road. But LeDuc is right there to him, so he's going to try and get back by the 31 for position, but that is really, really interesting. This really shook up the race for the moment, but I do think they may have to pit one more time, maybe on lap 9 or lap 10. It's going to be very, very close on gas for everybody here, but somehow Poteet managed to get a faster pit stop than the 99, and, well, they actually relatively had the same time on pit road, I think. I heard some scrapings in the wall. I think LeDuc may have gotten the wall in pit road, and that's what cost him a little bit of time, and that let Poteet take over the top spot right now. But LeDuc still within reach, although, like I said, once someone's up at the front, it seems like they're unstoppable under green flag conditions. One big shakeup, Dorian Facepuncher, looks like he won't be in the top 10 in the field for now. So meanwhile, we're also looking around to see where everyone else is running. And Mark Lane actually has fallen back pretty far. Not sure what's going on with the 56, but that's not good for him in the rookie points, because he came into this race quite a few points behind the rookie points lead. So I got a feeling he's going to end up losing a ton of ground in that rookie battle. But let's see the margin for the lead. You can tell it's definitely grown. Nearly a whole 1.5 seconds. 1.49 separates the 31 and the 99. As it's 5 laps to go here at Yas Marina Circuit. And I do sincerely think, they will have to pit one last time close to the very end of the race. I do think it will be on lap 9 or 10 when they have to come into pit road again, and then that would be the deciding factor as to who is going to win this race. But if they can somehow stretch it out the rest of the way, that's going to be impressive. Meanwhile, Rafael LeDuc looks like he's continuing to lose ground. Man, imagine how disappointed he'll be that he didn't win this race after a slight miscue on pit road. But if they have to pit one more time, he can redeem himself and try and pull off what Poteet did and see if it helps him out. But for now, he has to run in second for now. But still, this will be a phenomenal points day for LeDuc. As we look around the field to see where the rest of the top 5 at points are, is Nelson Thornhill's 11th, so he's had a pretty solid run going. And he could be your potential new points leader going into next week. David Rivera last scored 17th, so he's moved up quite a few spots since the pit stops. Dorian Facepuncher last scored 14th, so he lost 7 spots on pit road. And then Chris Michaels fell back to 37th again. And then you got Rafael LeDuc in second right now. As meanwhile, Dylan Poteet, he's actually trying to go for win number 3 this season. And he's been outside the top 30 for the majority of the season. Has managed to qualify his way into races little by little. And he's won twice. And he's trying to go for win number 3. He only managed to pull away by only a whole 1/10 of a second. So not by very much. So LeDuc is somewhat in the same pace as the 31. Just a tad bit slower, but not by much. Meanwhile, you got back here, looks like Mark Lane. Yeah, it looks like everybody's back up in the same place. And even Carson Gumb's back up here fighting for a position. Although, damage to Kev Shearer. I don't know if he ran into the back of somebody. But he's coming back on the track with no hood. Johnny Gardner's got a slight buckle on his hood. I think that could have been from guys running over each other trying to get on pit road. I think that's what happened to the 12. But then again, you never know. Stranger things have happened in this series. Or heck, even races on this YouTube channel in general, back to Walmart Cup. As meanwhile, we keep an eye out on the top 2 to see how much of a distance it has become. Has it shrunken or has it grown? Dylan Poteet trying to make up the most of being outside the top 30 in points by trying to win races in hopes of gaining more points to get back into the top 30 in time for next season. But then again, he might be one of those, like, bubble drivers that could somehow still make the first 5 races of next season, because considering quite a few drivers who are up in the top 30 right now are not coming back next season. Guys like Joshua Cooley, Nathaniel Reed, Grayson Acevedo, some of those guys are not coming back next season, so that opens the door for some of the guys who are coming back that are outside the top 30 to take over those spots in order to get into races. And the lead has definitely grown to 2.4 seconds as we're getting close to that potential second pit stop. I think they may be able to go the rest of this lap before they have to pit. Or they can go through to lap 10 and then pit on the white flag lap. And if that were to happen, we could be set up for an interesting finish if that was the case. But I do sincerely think they have to pit one more time, because they pitted on lap 5 going into lap 6. So I think they may have to pit on lap 10 going into lap 11. But you never know. They could be able to keep it going and stretch it out, but it'd be very, very tough to pull off. Perhaps a battle might be ensuing here for 9th between 2 good friends that will end up being teammates next season. Seth Cole in the 98, Seth Cole in the 98, Anthony McCurry in the 61. They may be on different teams right now. 61 for Red Bull and 98 Seth Cole for his own team. But his own team's going to get expanded next season to a 2-car team, with McCurry bringing the number 61 over to Seth Cole Motorsports. So they will be teammates finally going into Season 3. As meanwhile, we're keeping an eye out here on the top 2. Poteet, it looks like he's definitely grown the lead, and it looks like Trent Dunham actually may be catching the 99 a little bit, because look at the gap between the two. It's somewhat smaller than the gap between the 31 and the 99. Poteet not coming in the pit road this time, neither is anybody else, so it looks like 2 to go. Are they going to pit when they come back by next time, or are they going to try and stretch it out? That is the big question. As nobody's gone in the pit road. And meanwhile, we see this gap between the 99 and the 1 kind of gets smaller and smaller, as it's only 1.5 seconds separating these two, as it was 2.5 seconds to lap previous. So, you never know what could happen. As meanwhile, Kev Shearer is still surviving on the lead lap with no hood. And same with Carson Gum, although JT Bryant's on pit road. I think it was on lap 9 going into lap 10, or not lap 9, lap 4 going into lap 5 when the 22 of JT Bryant came into pit road. So that is definitely a sign that when the 31 and everybody else comes by, they're going to come in pit road. Although, you never know what may happen. And they are getting close to that point They're coming close to that corner where they do end up pulling off the track on the pit road. So we're going to stay with the 31 for the time being to see what he's going to do. Is he going to come into pit road, or is he going to try and stretch it out the rest of the way? We're only a couple corners away from finding out. As my phone just went off and I wish it would shut up. Alright, let's see. Moment of truth. Is he coming in the pit road? No, he's not. He's going to stay out. So is LeDuc and Trent Dunham. And look at the gap Trent Dunham has cut on the 99. We could be setting up for an interesting fight for second. As the white flag is out and the lead grows to 3.42 seconds. As it looks like everyone's going to attempt to stay out the rest of the way to try to stretch out their gas tanks in hopes of a miracle. But man, I tell you, it's gonna be really hard. As meanwhile, look at this battle that might be ensuing for second. Trent Dunham has been catching. Look at the difference in lap times. 0.8 of a second, nearly 0.9 of a second. Trent was faster than the 99. And actually faster than the 31 as well. But I don't think there's going to be enough time. Yeah, there's definitely not going to be enough time for anybody to catch the 31. So the 31 of Dylan Poteet is en route to his third win this season. After what probably was a mishap on the 99, coming off of pit road, scraping the wall, costing him time, ends up losing the lead, fell to second, and Poteet capitalized, and he might end up just getting this win. All he is hoping for is for no mistakes to be made. And if he doesn't screw up the rest of these corners and just plays it safe and just gets through the corners safely, he will end up with the win. As we're looking around the field to keep an eye on everything, and looks like everybody's still running pretty smoothly. As that potential fight we could have had for second has definitely dwindled as some cars have ended up separating each other. As now we're coming to the checkered flag. Checkered flag is waving. Dylan Poteet wins the Taco Bell 200 at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. After an interesting mishap on the 99 on that pit stop in the middle of the race, Poteet ends up with the victory. What a job for the 31 as well. Managed to pull out to a 4-second lead and gets the W. But let's look at the rest of the results. Rafael LeDuc dominated the first half of the race, and then a mishap on pit road was what cost him. But he gets a phenomenal points run today, finishing second. Great run in third for Trent Dunham. The highest finishing rookie was Jesse King in the 4th position, and then Cole Deaver with a solid run in 5th. Excuse me. PJ Williams with a great run in 6th. Seth Cole somehow went up to 7th. Great run for him. Solid run in 8th for Oscar Anderson. Solid run in 9th for Preston Blord. And then a great run in 10th for Anthony McCrory. Rest of the top 20. Nelson Thornhill, Tim Fiegel, Phil Parker, Dorian Facepuncher, Kyle Matthews, DJ Curtis, Dylan Young, David Rivera, Emmanuel Hartnett, and Matt Haas. Rest of the top 30 was Jonathan Zorling, James Qualls, Charles Sanford, Chris Dollerton, Grayson Acevedo, Dylan Thoreau, Matt McIntyre, Johnny Gardner, Jessica Sheldon, Joshua Sekuli. Rest of the top 40 was Paul Minnick, Benjamin Miles, Chris Michaels, Nathaniel Reed, Angel Alvera, Austin LaPlante, Dougie Shears, Sean Galligan, Carson Gum, and Mark Lane. And then the final 2 were Kev Shearer and JT Bryant. So that does it for our coverage here tonight at Abu Dhabi, here at Yas Marina Circuit, as I apologize for that little freeze up right there. But where are we heading to next week? We are heading back to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Golden Corral 500. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into Atlanta. And this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.